Most babies get a name, a warm welcome, and maybe a nap. You get an unlicensed psychic exam. See, the elders don't wait for you to grow up and show talent. Nope. They hand you some toys, stare at you like a science experiment, and wait to see if you accidentally expose yourself. Pick the wrong objects? Congrats, you're just another kid. Pick the special objects? Boom, you just got drafted into lifelong suffering. There's no celebration, no party, just a bunch of old monks nodding solemnly because your entire existence is now their problem. And if you somehow dodge the test, don't worry, the world will find you. Because the second things start going wrong, guess who's expected to fix everything? So, you're 12 years old, minding your business when the monks drop this bombshell. Hey, you're the Avatar. You need to master all 4 elements immediately. The fate of the world is on your tiny, prepubescent shoulders. No pressure. Now, a well-adjusted person would take the time to process this, maybe ask some follow-up questions. You take your flying bison and flee the country. Though, to be fair, the crash out is valid, but you fly straight into the worst storm imaginable and get yeeted into the ocean, at which point your survival instincts kick in, and you enter the Avatar state. And instead of, saving yourself in a normal way, your magic powers decide, nah, let's freeze this guy solid. Fast forward 100 years. You wake up, the last thing you remember, running away from responsibility. The first thing you see, 2 water tribe kids staring at you like you just fell out the sky. Which, to be fair, you did. Later. Before you can even process the fact that you've literally time-traveled, they hit you with some quick world building. The Fire Nation took over. The war never stopped. You've been missing for a century. And just when you think, okay, this is bad, but at least I have time to figure things out, boom, Fire Nation ship, because you weren't the only one who noticed you waking up. Enter Prince Zuko. 80% bald, 90% angry, and 100% traumatized. He wants to capture you to restore his honor. Clearly, he has more issues than just the burn on his face. And later on, reality punches you in the face. Your people, dead. Your home, gone. Your childhood didn't even finish before the world went to hell. And just like that, your world-saving speedrun officially begins. So, you've barely been back in the world for a week when you make your first pit stop, Kyoshi Island. Seems peaceful enough, small fishing village, cool statues, no immediate death threats. But then the locals realize who you are, and suddenly you're a celebrity. The Kyoshi warriors, fierce, disciplined fighters. Suki, out here humbling Sokka in 5 seconds flat. The villagers, treating you like a god because you're the reincarnation of Avatar Kyoshi. And naturally, you let it go to your head. You do tricks for clout, you sign autographs, you milk the fame for everything it's worth. Then, like clockwork, you attract the worst kind of attention. Zuko. Turns out setting fireworks and announcing yourself to the world was a bad way to lay low. So now you're fighting off a Fire Nation raid, the village is on fire, and a giant eel monster, the Unagi, tries to drown you for good measure. Long story short, you're forced to flee. But hey, at least you learned a valuable lesson about humility. For now. So, after burning your first safe house to the ground, you and the gang take refuge in the forest. And that's when you meet Jet. Charismatic leader? Check. Tragic backstory? Check. A little too enthusiastic about war crimes? Double check. At first, everything seems great. He's charming, he fights the Fire Nation, he's got the whole crew of orphan rebels. And Katara, fully crushing. Meanwhile, Sokka, the only one with a functioning brain cell, is like, something feels off. Well, he was right, because while you're happily thinking you made a cool new friend, Jet is out here planning to drown an entire village of civilians. Fire Nation soldiers? Sure, go for it. Innocent families? I don't know, it depends on whether they commit animal cruelty, but for Jet, it's all fair game. But you're in an ethical dilemma. Sokka figures it out first. You hesitate because conflict is awkward. Katara is 5 seconds away from writing Jet's name in diary, but the second Jet goes full the end justify the means, you finally realize, oh, this guy is nuts. So, after a dramatic showdown, he gets exposed, you leave, and Katara learns an important lesson about bad boys. But hey, at least you made it out before he tried to brainwash. So, after barely escaping a child warlord, you decide, hey, maybe I should actually train. But before you can make any real progress, you get immediately kidnapped by Fire Nation soldiers. And not just any soldiers, Zhao's soldiers. Zuko? Just a guy with family trauma. Azula? A problem for later. Zhao? The kind of guy who burns ants with a magnifying glass for fun. So now you're chained up in a Fire Nation stronghold, totally helpless. And just when it looks like you're about to become a fun new experiment for the Fire Nation military-industrial complex, a masked warrior shows up and wipes out an entire base to free you. This dude is fast, lethal, and fights like he's been waiting for an excuse to commit violence. Then, after a dramatic escape, he gets hit, his mask falls off, and... oh, it's Zuko! The guy who's been chasing you down since day one just risked his life to rescue you from his own people. Does this mean you're friends now? No. Does it mean you're enemies? Also no. Does it make your life unnecessarily complicated? Absolutely. You don't have the time to unpack all that, though. He vanishes before you can even say thanks. And just like that, you've unlocked a brand new level of confusion. So, after weeks of barely surviving, you finally reach the Northern Water Tribe. And things are actually going pretty well. You get a waterbending master. Sokka gets a girlfriend, Katara fights the patriarchy, and then the Fire Nation shows up to ruin everything. Led by Zhao, of course. Zuko still on his personal kidnapping arc. Azula not even here yet. Zhao about to make the worst decision in Fire Nation history. Because halfway through this massive siege, he suddenly goes, you know what would really ruin everyone's day? What if I killed the moon? And everyone's like, there's no way he's serious. Oh, he's serious. His plan? Step 1, find the physical form of the moon spirit. Step 2, stab it. Step 3, huh? Step 4, profit. And to no one's surprise except his own, the plan immediately backfires. The sky turns blood red, the ocean goes feral, everyone loses their minds, including you, but as soon as the moon dies, you go full kaiju mode. No words, no mercy, just pure spirit rage. You single-handedly wipe out the Fire Nation army. Zhao gets dragged to the underworld for his crimes, and just like that, you win. But not before Princess Yue turns into the new moon spirit and leaves Sokka with a lifetime supply of trust issues. So, after nearly turning into an ocean god and watching a guy literally try to assassinate the moon, you finally get a break. For 5 minutes. Because now it's time for Phase 2. Learning earthbending and actually becoming the avatar people keep hyping you up to be. Which sounds great until you meet your new teacher. She's a blind 12-year-old who immediately decides you're bullying material. And to be fair, she's not wrong. See, earthbending isn't about flowing like water or gliding like air. It's about being an immovable, unshakable force. And you flinch when people yell at you. So training is going well. You were already struggling with Katara-related emotions, and now you've got Toph, who's just calls you out every 5 minutes. You're weak, Twinkle Toes. You overthink everything, Twinkle Toes. You want to kiss Katara, but are too much of a coward, Twinkle Toes. Anyway, just as you're getting used to Toph verbally demolishing you every 5 minutes, a new problem shows up. Azula. Zuko was a problem, yes, but Azula is a whole disaster. And while she casually overthrowing governments, you're still out here trying to figure out how to not fall over when someone attacks you. At this point, you're just hoping you live long enough to get better at this. But before you reach Ba Sing Se, you make a quick detour to an ancient spirit library buried in the middle of the desert. Because apparently, the best way to win a war is by studying. So, the plan is simple. Find an ancient spirit library, learn secret Fire Nation weaknesses, and leave. Easy, right? Except this is Team Avatar, so obviously it immediately goes to hell. First, you find the library, a massive, buried structure run by an actual talking owl spirit. And he's not a fan of humans, but lucky for you, he's a sucker for knowledge, so he lets you slide inside. And that's when you hit the jackpot, Sozin's Comet. Turns out, this giant space rock is the reason the Fire Nation was able to wreck the world in the first place, and it's coming back in a few months. So, you now have a deadline. If you don't stop Fire Lord Ozai before then, the war is over. But before you can leave, the owl spirit figures out what you're doing, and he is pissed. Apparently, humans keep ruining everything, so he decides to sink the entire library with you inside. Meanwhile, Sokka is still looking for books like he's at a college bookstore 5 minutes before class. You barely escape, but by the time you do, Appa is gone, and now you're stranded in the desert, furious and one emotional breakdown away from committing war crimes. So, let's take a look at the simple plan we had again. Step 1, find an ancient library and get crucial war-ending knowledge. Step 2, leave without making an ancient owl spirit mad. Step 3, do not lose your flying bison. You failed step 3, because while you were inside, some sandbenders bison napped him. So now, you're stranded in the desert with no ride, no food, and your patience hanging by a thread. Cue the worst road trip of your life. Sokka starts drinking cactus juice and hallucinating. Toph is sick of everyone's whining and your guilt-tripping kinda has her in a chokehold. And you, well, you're just boiling with pure unfiltered rage. So it makes sense that the second you find the sandbenders, you absolutely snap. Like, full Avatar state sandstorm of death snap. And for the first time, your team isn't stopping an enemy, they're stopping you. Because this isn't justice, this is vengeance. The only reason you don't go full Wrath of God on these guys, they swear they sold Appa off somewhere safe. And just like that, you officially don't care about saving the world anymore, you just want your bison back. By the time you finally crawl out the desert, you're furious, exhausted, and just barely holding it together. But there's no time to rest, because after countless battles and endless travel, you finally reach Ba Sing Se, the Earth Kingdom's massive capital. This city is supposed to be a safe haven, the last stronghold against the Fire Nation. But as soon as you arrive, something feels off. The city is divided into rings. Lower ring, refugees and the poor, overcrowded and struggling. Middle ring, middle-class citizens, comfortable but oblivious. Upper ring, the elite, lavish estates and willful ignorance. And keeping it all in check, the Dai Li, a secret police force whose job isn't to protect people, but to make sure no one acknowledges reality. Judy, your assigned government-issued tour guide, always smiling, always watching, always pretending your problems don't exist. Long Feng, the guy actually running the city while the Earth King plays dress-up in his palace, and every time you try to talk about the war, there is no war in Ba Sing Se. Oh, cool. Guess if we all just collectively gaslight ourselves, the Fire Nation will just leave. After weeks of bureaucracy, propaganda, and resisting the urge to strangle Judy, you finally get through to the Earth King. It took a conspiracy board's worth of evidence, several crimes committed against your Sky Bison, and a level of patience you did not know you had, but you actually did it. And just when it looks like things might finally go your way, Azula. And she didn't just show up, she speed ran world domination before you even realized what was happening. The Dai Li already pledged allegiance. The Earth King, useless. Your team in the middle of a full-scale street fight. And you finally decided to stop simping over Katara. You spent an entire season going back and forth about your feelings, only to realize at the last possible second that, hey, maybe being the Avatar is more important than thirsting after your water-bending teacher. And just as you let go of your attachment, ready to unlock the Avatar state, Azula hits you with a precision airstrike. 1 second, you're ascending to spiritual enlightenment. The next, you're an unconscious meteor plummeting toward the ground. Oh yeah, and at some point in all this chaos, you finally find Appa again. Because somehow, in between all the war crimes, Zuko decided to have a redemption arc and freed him. So at least something went right, but you don't have the time to enjoy it, dying and all. You wake up, everything hurts, your head isn't shaved, your outfit is different, and for some reason, you're in the Fire Nation. Before you can even process that, your team hits you with, oh, by the way, everyone thinks you're dead, so maybe don't go outside? Great! Apparently you died for like 5 minutes, and while you were speedrunning the afterlife, the Fire Nation just declared victory. Ba Sing Se, Fire Nation property now. The Earth Kingdom, just one big colony. Your mission, hide, heal, and somehow prepare for a fight you already lost. So, yeah, no pressure or anything. Also, Sozin's Comet is still on the way, meaning you have like 3 months to go from recovering patient to Fire Lord Killer. And with your luck, you'll probably end up learning firebending from the worst possible person. So, you need a firebending teacher, and since your last attempt at firebending ended you with setting Katara on fire, you're a little hesitant. But hey, good news, someone actually volunteers to teach you. Bad news, it's Zuko. Yes, Zuko, the guy who spent 2 seasons hunting you down, tried to kidnap you multiple times, absolutely does not know how to socialize like a normal human, and now, apparently, he's your best option. At first, you're skeptical, but then he goes, hey, I also kinda forgot how to firebend. And now you're both 2 losers trying to figure out the element that literally fuels an empire. After a whole lot of trial and error, mostly error, you finally meet some sun warriors who hit you with, fire is about life and energy, not destruction. Oh, so you've been doing it wrong this whole time. Then they introduce you to dragons, which is insane because Zuko was raised thinking dragons were extinct. Turns out, the last 2 were just chilling in a cave judging you. Luckily, they don't incinerate you on sight, and instead of just giving you firebending tips like normal mentors, they hit you with a full-on rainbow-colored light show. And somehow that works. Boom, you're finally a firebender. Only took 3 seasons, a near-death experience, and 2 divine lizards. This is it, the invasion, the moment you finally take the fight to the Fire Nation. You've got a solid plan, a full army of allies, a solar eclipse that's temporarily deletes firebending. For once, things are actually looking good, and then you get to the Fire Lord's throne room, and it's empty. No Fire Lord, no royal family, not even a single Fire Nation guard pretending to care. That's when it hits you. This isn't an invasion, it's a setup. While you were hyped for your big hero moment, the Fire Nation was already 10 steps ahead. And the second the eclipse ends, boom, counterattack. Your army wiped out, your escape plan absolute chaos, your chances of ending the war early, good one. So, now you're running back for your life, the Fire Nation is stronger than ever, and Sozin's Comet is on the way. Great job, genius. Time to figure out how to 1v1 a dictator before he turns into a fire god. So, after 3 seasons of running, training, and nearly dying, it's finally time. The Fire Lord Showdown. Except there's just one small problem. You still don't want to kill anyone. And everyone, including past avatars, is like, buddy, this guy's literally trying to burn the world to ash. Maybe let go of the whole pacifist thing? But no, you refuse to commit murder. So now, instead of a quick assassination, you're stuck in a 1v1 against a supercharged Fire Lord who has the power of a comet and 0 chill. And this guy shoots fire like it's a machine gun, casually melts cliffs with his bare hands, wants to personally end you and your entire bloodline. Meanwhile, your strategy is mostly dodging and hoping he runs out of energy before you do. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. Then, Just when you're about to get roasted alive, a giant spirit turtle who has never been mentioned before just rolls up and gives you a free hack. Energy bending, a brand new ability that lets you straight up delete bending like a factory reset. No training, no warning, just here, take this. And somehow, this completely random ability actually works. You grab Ozai's head, do some mystical glowing nonsense, and boom, his bending is gone. Dude goes from fire god to angry, sweaty war criminal in under a minute. You didn't win by fighting harder, you won by getting a last-minute divine software update. Congrats, you avatared your way out of murder. So, you did it. You defeated the Fire Lord, saved the world, and somehow avoided committing homicide. Time to kick back, relax, and oh, wait, the world is still an absolute mess. The Fire Nation still occupies Earth Kingdom land. Zuko is Fire Lord now, and his first order of business, having a full-blown identity crisis. Azula had a complete villain meltdown and is now locked in Fire Nation jail, and even though you literally ended a 100-year war, people still won't shut up about the next Avatar. Like, you just finished saving the world. Can you get a week off before someone starts asking when Korra's gonna show up? At least you finally got Katara. Took 3 books, an almost death experience, and a global war, but hey, a win's a win. So yeah, you're the Avatar. The world is still a mess, but at least it's your mess now. Until you're reborn and the whole cycle starts again. But that's another Avatar's problem. If you want to know just how much worse it gets, well, you know what to do.